Welcome everybody to another episode of the Talking with Heroes talk show program. I am Bob Calvert, founder and host of Talking with Heroes, www.talkingwithheroes.com, and our news site with all the new programs we've been doing. Thank you for your service.us. And behind the camera, Keith Knights, Sergeant First Class Keith Knights, an Iraq veteran. Thank you, Keith, my son-in-law. And so we're actually here still in Kansas City area. We're in, I believe, Overland Park, Kansas. We're on the Kansas side. And Eric Chia, who you all met earlier, ChiaWeb.com, brought us in. We've been doing some really great programs, some of which are already on there. Hopefully you've gotten to see on our YouTube page. We have another one coming up. But we're here at Shawnee Mission Park Lake. And have with us here, you saw the name on the banner, Project Healing Waters Fly Fishing. It's phwff.org. They're a national organization, hundreds of chapters across the country, and we're here with two gentlemen that are leaders of the Kansas City chapter, both veterans. And so what I want to do is ask you to first introduce yourselves and tell a little bit about your service.
I'm Mike Davis. I was Iraqi freedom veteran. I was a combat engineer, wounded in 2004 by an IED. We were in a convoy. IED hit my Humvee that I was in. We were traveling down. It was followed up by a firefight, so it wasn't a pretty thing.
Great.
Yeah, and I'm Bruce Storts, and Vietnam veteran. I was in intelligence in the Army, the Army Security Agency. I was actually my target was Cambodia, so that's who I spied on over there, and got back in '71, and things weren't so good here at home even in '71. But this is a great organization. It's making all the difference.
Absolutely. Vets helping vets, right?
Yes, it is.
Across the country. Now, you and I, Mike, did an audio program, I guess a little over a year ago, with Bert Gillette on it. And what led you to Project Healing Waters fly fishing?
Bert Gillette did through Higher Ground. I was invited out to do a Higher Ground fly fishing camp in Sun Valley, Idaho. And they had a Project Healing Waters people there that taught us some fly fishing and fly tying, and that got me interested in Project Healing Waters program there. And he turned me on to Robert Bowen and got me some contact information back here in Kansas City. It wasn't real close, but at the time there was no Project Healing Waters Kansas City. There was Leavenworth. And so I contacted them and did one or two things with them to try to get started. But I did that interview with you and Bert Gillette, and that got me in contact with Mr. William Potter.
Right, who's the chairman of the board of r4alliance.org.
Yes, sir. And he invited me out to the Hot Rotering Bum in Alaska, which was an awesome trip.
So he was listening? You told me he was listening to your program live, and he was in UK.
Yeah, he was in England, I think it was, yes. And he heard the program. I guess he was listening on his cell phone or something. I'm not sure. And he was impressed with the program, or I'm not sure. But he called me up, got the information, called me up and asked me if I wanted to go, and we had a great time. And I met George Isaacs there, and he's a great guy, George Isaacs. And they also asked, Potter asked me to go to the two-fly tournament with Project Healing Waters, which I did well there. Me and Andrew, a friend of Potter's, Potter sponsored the two of us, and the two of us pretty much slayed them and took first place.
Oh, wow. Great.
And me and Andrew took tied for big fish and flipped a coin, and Andrew got the coin toss, so Andrew got the big fish. So, but That was actually the first place that our program basically started back then, was getting started, and it was Bob Barnett, Jim Cassane, and myself, just the three of us looking to get started back at that point in time. We had found a sponsor through Missouri, MTFA, Missouri,
Tie Flyers. Fly Tires of Missouri.
Yeah, Missouri Fly Tires. What's it say?
Trout Fishing Association?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sure.
Yeah, Missouri Trout Fishers Association. They always say Missouri. I have a brain injury, so it's hard for me to remember things. They always say MTFA, so that's what I remember. But I lost my train of thought.
You know, I'm supposed to keep you going focused, man.
Well, let me switch here. Talk about what led you to Project Healing Waters Fly Fishing.
I have a couple of friends that were involved in it probably 3 years ago, and I've only been involved 2 years. And they approached me because I've been fly fishing for quite a while and tying flies for a long time, and they knew I was military, and they said, you know, you really need to check these guys out. It's just an unbelievable organization, and they do a lot of, you know, tying flies and building rods and going fishing, and they're always looking for good help. And so I went over there and hung around some of these guys, and it really made me feel welcome, you know. Mm-hmm. And that's something I in the military I never felt welcome, you know, after I got out.
Yeah.
Back in the 70s, when you got back, you just took your uniform off and put it in the back of the closet, put your medals and ribbons in a box, and you didn't tell anybody where you'd been or anything. So this is the first time in all those years, you know, I really felt welcome, and started working with them, and we've caught a lot of fish together, and it's just been tremendous. I love it.
How many guys do you have working with the local chapter now?
We have about 25 guys, I think, in our chapter. They come and go. Some events we have more participation than others. We have guys that like the fly tying aspect more, some guys that like the rod building more, some guys that like the fishing more, but they all congregate together, and we have kind of a recall roster type system. Mm-hmm. There's always a fishing buddy out there. If someone wants to go fishing to get rid of their problems, they can always call somebody up, you know, and say, hey, I got a bad deal going, let's go fishing, and then the problems go away. You know, we've started a challenge table, because some of the guys have been with us for 4 years. Our program's been about 4 years now, so some of the guys are getting more advanced at fly tying, so we started a challenge table for one of the veterans that's more experienced will bring in a fly that he likes, and the more experienced guys will learn to tie that fly. But we still have the beginners table where, you know, the newer guys still learn to tie flies. So we try to keep it to where everybody's learning something, and it still keeps everybody involved, you know. And rod building, we finally we've had guys win all 3 events that Project Healing Waters has nationally. I won the 2-fly event. We've had a guy win 2nd place in the 2-fly event. We've had a guy win 1st place and honorable mention in the fly tying event. And we've had a guy this year, we won in the category 2, we won 1st place and 3rd place in the rod building event. So in 4 years, we're doing really, really well with our guys and their advancement and stuff. And a lot of them are pretty humble about that. They're not really interested in what they've done as far as winning stuff. They're more interested in improving their skills, and that's what they're interested in. The trophies, yeah, they're a bonus, but the guys that are winning stuff are more interested in improving their skills, you know. And I think that's a great thing, you know.
I heard one of you talking earlier about the experience that you all have when you get together and you're out fishing, somewhat similarities to being in the military?
Yeah, it's kind of I best explain it like a brotherhood. You know, we had that in the military. You know, you had the guys around you, and it was a close family. And that's kind of the way I feel about it now. And last year we were fishing, and just a little story, and our guys can fish real well, like Mike, and then some of them just really struggle. And we had this one gentleman, he's a big Marine. I mean, he's a big Marine, and he was struggling. I mean, he just, you know, he couldn't cast very well, couldn't throw it very far. And we were in a beautiful stream, and I could see where the fish were. They were holding, you know, probably about 10 feet away from where he had the abilities to throw. So, and another gentleman was working with him and struggling a little bit, and just couldn't get him in the hole. So I noticed that, and I asked permission if I could work with him. So I walked over there, and I said, "Follow me." And we were probably a little knee deep in the water, and I just walked on. I said, "Come on out." And we walked about another 10 feet out. We were almost to our mid-thigh. I said, "Okay, now throw it in there." We were close enough at that point, he could actually get it to where the fish were. And he caught a huge trout.
Wow.
And it was the first one he'd ever caught in his life. And this big guy, he has a big voice too. And you could hear him up and down the stream for what, half a mile, Mike?
Oh yeah.
And he was so excited. If you can imagine this big Marine giving you a bear hug, you know, and thanking you for just putting it in the water, you know. It's amazing. But that's the kind of brotherhood you feel out there. And made them feel great.
Now, for veterans watching, maybe military families, active duty military, Project Healing Waters fly fishing is across the country. So if they go to phwff.org, how would they find your chapter?
They can go on the national website, and all the chapters are listed on the national website. All they have to do is go to the national website, and there's a locator on the national website for every chapter that's available. We have basically a couple things going within our chapter. We've recently started working, Bruce and myself and a couple others have started working inside the Kansas City VA, and we're working outside of the VA. So the guys in the Kansas City VA is alcohol and drug rehab. So when they get out of that, then we can provide ongoing care for them with our chapter. It's already standing up outside the VA. So that's a big help to them once they're through their rehab. So we're doing a lot of different things, and we do a few. Wounded Warrior Project has reached out to us to go and do a peer-to-peer mentorship with some of their guys. There's a big a sportsman show. We do a booth there every year. We do a lot of different outreach programs. There's a handicap. What's that handicapped? The VA does a disabilities program where we go and do a booth there to draw in more disabilities. He was talking about this helping veterans in the stream. He has a buddy named Frank, and Frank is pretty much, he's a Vietnam vet, and he's pretty much ate up with Agent Orange, and we'll take a chair out in the stream.
Yeah, we just walked him out in the middle of the stream, plopped the lawn chair out there, and he fished out of the lawn chair. Wow. But he caught fish that day.
Oh, he caught fish all day long. But he can't stand out in the stream all day long. Yeah. So we put him in a chair, and then he gets out there and fishes all day long.
So it's the combination of the fishing, the relaxing, but also the comradeship, right?
Oh yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. And the water doesn't care, where you've been or what you've done or what you've seen or heard, it just doesn't care.
It's the same thing with our fly tying and our rod wrapping. We got this one guy, Ken Hicks. He's one of the ones that won the first place in the rod building. And man, when that guy's wrapping a rod or tying a fly, the concentration he has, you can't talk to him. He's like completely immersed in his work. So you know he's not thinking about stupid shit that happened back in the day. You know what I mean? So he's completely immersed in what he's doing. He's not thinking about, you know, any PTSD issues or nothing else. He's thinking about what he's doing right there in front of him, and that's one of the benefits. I mean, it's perfect.
And like Mike said, you know, these guys, I mean, we go on our outings, you know, every month or maybe 2 months, but they can call anybody up and say, let's go fishing. And I'm retired now, so I go fishing. You know, we get them and we go. And whether it's in a lake, stream, pond, it doesn't matter. There's fish in there. We're going to find them. So
yeah, that's the one thing we differ from a lot of the other chapters. We don't have as you see, there's a lake behind us, right? We don't have a beautiful trout stream, you know, to our access. So we tell our guys, any body of water, any type of fish, anytime. So when I was in Virginia fishing that tournament, they kept calling me a bass fisher. I was like, you know what? You're right. I'll take my fly rod, and that's pretty much all I fish with nowadays. And I'll go catch a bass. I'll go catch a freaking catfish, bluegill, carp, crappie, whatever. If it's in that water and I could pull it out with my fly rod, you bet I'm going to try. Some of us are trying to run a list of how many different species we can catch on our fly rod.
So I'm just curious, from the time before you ever heard of Project Healing Waters fly fishing till now, would you say it's a big difference in your life?
Tremendous for me. And like I say, I had a good life. I was a business owner. I owned a business for 30 years, a very successful business, and great family. I was been in intelligence and military. I wasn't in harm's way per se. Unfortunately, I had guys like him protecting me. So I didn't come back with all the problems that some guys did come back with. I just feel no appreciation, you know, and no family, no brotherhood as far as the military life. Yeah, that made a tremendous difference for me.
You know, my wife, you know, she was my fiance before I went to Iraq, and we got married after I got back. And she's seen me go through all my troubles and everything, and even now she realizes what the program does for me. And she will straight up look at me and say, you need to go fishing. So, you know, I got friends that are like, how do I get my wife to do that? It's like, well, I ain't gonna suggest you go get blown up, but
not a good way.
not a good way to do it, but you know, it's, you know, it's good that my wife understands that the program helps me, and she understands everything that it does for me.
What would you say to the American people? We did a program the other day with Eric Chia sitting over here, and the statistics I heard was well over 90% of the American people that really don't have any experience with the military but may want to help. So how would they do that?
You can always donate to programs like ours. That's an outstanding way to help. Get out and be a volunteer for a program like ours. You don't necessarily have to know how to fly fish to help a program like ours. We've had guys that have come to our program not know how to fly fish and learned how to fly fish while they're helping us. We need guys have come out and they've cooked for us, and at the same time they've learned how to fly fish, and they're still an asset to our program, you know, even though they don't know how to fly fish. They're still helping the veterans. You know, anytime you can put a smile on the face of a veteran while they're out doing this stuff, and they're not thinking about stupid stuff.
There's a lot of people that like to fish, like my friend Eric G here, my friend Mike Welch. I've known them for years. They fish, and I just listen to them talking with you, and it's like, you know, it's like you have your own language almost.
Yeah, I mean, you can go out in a boat, right, and fly fish. A lot of people don't realize that. Like, we can go out. Me and him go out on a boat and fly fish all the time. But you can go out on a boat, and if they have a boat, you can fly fish off a boat the same as you would anything else. But a lot of our guys don't have boats. Heck, take them out on a boat, let them fly fish. You know, you can, if you don't know how to fly fish, just sit there and spin reel. Watch out for the line coming by. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, it's kind of a misconception. People think fly fishing, you only go fishing for trout. You wade into a stream and you fish for trout. It's not true. I mean, like Mike said a while ago, we fly fish for every variety that's in the water.
There's other fish out there.
It just doesn't matter.
There's almost a saying, other fish in the sea.
There is.
Yeah, but it's such a challenge to be able to tie your own fly and flip it out there and catch a fish on your fly, on your rod, put it where you want it, and mend it properly, and that fish is there.
If you believe it's not true, come hang out with some of our guys for a day on the water.
So when you meet a veteran like Keith, my son-in-law here, a RAC veteran, what do you say to them as far as encouraging them to get involved?
Let's go fishing.
Yeah. You like to fish? Come on, let's go.
Let's go fishing. The first thing I'm gonna say is let's go fishing. And then we get to the water, I'm gonna hand him a fly rod.
Yeah.
Straight up.
We could have him throwing it in about 5 minutes. Maybe not the greatest, but he'll get it in the water.
I taught a man with spinal cord injury one time that could only lift his hand this high how to fly fish, and he caught a big fish. And then unfortunately he was done with the program because he said that was a bucket list item of his.
Checked it off. Huh?
Checked it off, and then he was done. And it's like, well, you can still come. We can catch bigger fish. He's like, nope, I'm done. I did my bucket list. They're like, well, I'm glad I could help you. He had other things he wanted to move on to, but you know, we got it done for him, and he was a happy camper. You know.
So before we complete this episode, I always like to ask people if you'd like to give a shout out to our troops serving around the world. We have quite a few of them now in other countries and possibly in harm's way. Would you like to do that? Look at the camera.
Oh yeah. Be safe. Keep your head down and
Come back home.
Come back home. I hope everything goes well for you. Put a fly. I read a book, A Fly Rod in My Sea Bag. Take. You know, when you're back in camp, take some time to yourself. You know, if you need it, take it. Don't let the stresses over there get to you too much. You know, I know what it's like in a sandbox over there. So, you know, find some little hobby while you're there that you can defrag.
Yeah, I can't say it any better than Mike did. Just be safe, be careful, keep your head down, come back home.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time to meet with us. Thank you for your service.
Well, thank you.
And just like so many of these organizations I meet, vets serving vets. So you're still serving, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Well, folks, you've been listening again. Another TalkingWithHeroes.com episode, this time at Shawnee Mission Lake in Kansas. And we're here with the organization two veterans with Project Healing Waters Fly Fishing. I'm going to hold this up. It has their it has their website address. It has Eric's website. He's been so instrumental in helping me over the last 10 years, along with two others you see on here, Colin Clark with Green Ox Pallets and Bill Wisniewski with Lightning Graphics GA at Fort Benning. So I want to thank you for watching this. As with all our programs, you like what you see, please share this with everybody you can, especially those of you maybe in your own family who have served or are serving, military families. So we appreciate you watching. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless America.